Canada, the second largest country in the world, occupies most of the northern part of North America, covering the vast land area from the United States in the south to the Arctic Circle in the north. It is a country of enormous distances and rich natural resources. Indigenous people lived in what is now Canada for thousands of years before the first Europeans arrived. They are known as the First Nations and the Inuit people. The first European people to come to Canada arrived between 15,000 and 30,000 years ago across a land bridge that joined Asia and North America. Around 1000 AD, the Viking explorer Leif Erikson reached Newfoundland, Canada. He tried to establish a settlement, but it didn't last. In the early 16th century, Europeans started exploring Canada's eastern coast, beginning with John Cabot from England. Between 1534 and 1542, Jacques Cartier made 3 voyages across the Atlantic, claiming the land for King Francis I of France. Cartier had 2 captured guides speak the Iroquoian word Kanata, meaning village. By the 1550s, the name of Canada began appearing on maps. Parts of Canada were settled by France and parts by Great Britain. In 1605, Port Royal was built in Acadia by the French, led by Samuel de Champlain, and 3 years later he started settling Quebec. The French and Aboriginal people collaborated in the vast fur trade economy, driven by the demand for beaver pelts in Europe. Outstanding leaders like Jean Talon, Bishop Laval, and Count Frontenac built a French empire in North America that reached from Hudson Bay to the Gulf of Mexico. In the 1700s, France and Great Britain battled for control of North America. In 1759, the British defeated the French in the Battle of the Plains of Abraham at Quebec City, marking the end of France's empire in America. The commanders of both armies, Brigadier James Wolfe and the Marquis de Montcalm, were killed leading their troops in battle. Following the war, Great Britain renamed the colony the Province of Quebec. The French-speaking Catholic people, known as habitants or Canadians, strove to preserve their way of life in the English-speaking, Protestant-ruled British Empire. After the American Revolutionary War, many people in the new United States wanted to stay loyal to Britain. Thousands came north to Canada and settled in Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, Quebec, and Ontario. During the War of 1812, the United States tried to conquer Canada but were defeated. In 1867, the province of Canada was joined by 2 other British colonies of New Brunswick and Nova Scotia through Confederation, forming a self-governing entity named Canada. Canadian soldiers fought in World War I for the British Empire. More Canadians died in this war than any other war. Canada became better known as a country after its success in the capturing of Vimy Ridge from the Germans in France in 1917. Women were given the right to vote by the end of the war, partly because of the help they gave making weapons while the men fought in Europe. In 1931, Canada became fully independent. Then the Government of Canada made all decisions about Canada. The British Parliament passed the Statute of Westminster in 1931, which acknowledged Canada as a co-equal with the United Kingdom and the other Commonwealth realms. It was a crucial step in the development of Canada as a separate state, in that it provided for nearly complete legislative autonomy from the Parliament of the United Kingdom. The Canadian economy boomed during World War II as its industries manufactured military material for Canada, Britain, China, and the Soviet Union. Despite another conscription crisis in Quebec in 1944, Canada finished the war with a large army and strong economy. In the 1960s, the Quiet Revolution took place in Quebec, overthrowing the old establishment which centered on the Roman Catholic Archdiocese of Quebec and led to modernizing of the economy. In the same period, Canada adopted the maple leaf flag, although not without considerable debate and misgivings among large number of English-Canadian society. In 1981, the Canadian House of Commons and Senate passed a resolution requesting that the British Parliament enact a package of constitutional amendments which would end the last powers of the British Parliament to legislate for Canada and would create an entirely Canadian process for constitutional amendments. Canada's capital is Ottawa, and its 3 largest metropolitan areas are Toronto, Montreal, and Vancouver. Canada is sparsely populated, the majority of its land area being dominated by forest and tundra. Consequently, its population is highly urbanized, with over 80% of its inhabitants concentrated in large areas and medium-sized cities, many near the southern border. Thank you for watching. Please check out our other animated history shows, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.